Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I can hear
Okay,
you.
good afternoon.
Good afternoon,
Um,
teachers.
I hope that more participants will join later, but it's time, so we start right now. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the third webinar in the webinar series on methods and skills to engage students in the classroom, co-organized by CMAIL Regional Training Center in Vietnam and Regional English Language Office, U.S. Embassy in Hanoi, and U.S. Consulate General in Ho Chi Minh City within the English Language Specialist Program. As we are clear now that we apply the kind of hybrid mode for this webinar series. Unlike other webinar series in Vietnam, we use the hybrid approach in which we have the synchronous webinars on Wednesday afternoon every 2 weeks and asynchronous sessions on the Tech4Teach platform in which we have some other activities, some assignments, and this is a place for you to download materials as well. In the past 2 weeks, Dr. Webster, Thomas Webster shared with you the links and the materials for you to download, and also an assignment for you to do in which you are requested to upload the materials for the topic today. I'm happy to see that more than 20 participants have joined the forum and posted the materials on the Tech4Teach platform, which is very helpful for the webinar today, because the topic of the webinar today will be about strategy, about materials development for online and in the classroom teaching. So in the next 2 weeks before we end the webinar series on December 21st, there will be other activities on the forum. I hope most of you or all of you will join the Tech4Teach platform to do the assignments so that you can get the e-certificate after the webinar series. So now it's time to start. Dr. Thomas Webster, could you start the webinars today from now to 4 p.m. Thank you very much.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Lin. I bet you there is someone named Dr. Webinar on the internet somewhere. There's got to be someone. Hi, everyone. Oh, no, that's fine. They're very similar, aren't they? And you probably, Mr. Lin, you probably say that so many times that it becomes kind of a, yeah, I understand. I do that too when I'm teaching. All of us do as teachers. We have scripts, right, that roll around in our head. But anyway, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today. As Mr. Lim said, we've got a good, we've got a good webinar today that is going to be focusing even more on exactly what you all are doing in the classroom. So I asked you all to give me materials, and it's been very helpful. I've looked at those and I've grabbed them, and I've developed some examples to show how we can use those, how we can use the techniques that we talked about in the previous webinars, how we can apply them to your materials. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to share my screen first. Okay, I think everyone hopefully can see my screen now. Oh, I should mention that this the link for this Prezi webinar is, again, I posted that here on the side on the chat. If you look, you can see it, and so you can click on there on that link, and if you wanted to be able to move things around yourself while I'm doing, again, if you want to go ahead or go backwards, you can do that. I also put another, well, let's see, I guess I'm going to do that. But I'll be putting links over here for you in order for you to be able to see where, anything that I refer to, you can get. Okay, let's go ahead and get started, and I'll tell you more about that as I go. Okay, so again, we want to look at today's goals. The first thing I wanted to do was to talk about your issues, okay? So I want us together to have some time together in the breakout rooms, We haven't had a lot of breakout room time at all, but I'd like to spend at least the first part of this webinar having us talk about various issues and to offer advice to each other, because you all are very experienced, and some of you are very, very experienced and some just a little, but everyone has some good experiences and some successes about what has worked for you all in your classrooms in Vietnam. So I think you guys are your own best kind of cooperators or collaborators to help you to develop your materials in a more interactive way. So I think it's good for us to use our own voices here. The second thing I'm going to do is to, again, like I mentioned a moment ago, is after reading the materials and the issues that you guys talked about on the Tech for Teach website, I looked at your materials and I grabbed some of them. I didn't get a chance to grab every single one, but I did grab enough that I think it can apply to everyone's situation. I tried to choose something, choose things that would help show a range. So I can show you, as you see here in number 2, I'm going to show you some interactivity things for textbook. The series, the Global Success or Discovery, English Discovery textbook, and some grammar, how to do some interactive work for grammar, and for writing activities like essays and even IELTS, the IELTS examination, task 2. Okay, so these are, again, today's materials are all completely developed based on what you put on the Tech for Teach website for me. So let's go ahead and start. So the first thing I'd like us to do is to think about, again, to get us chatting in our breakout rooms, to think about what our issues are. What are the things in the classroom that we need to work with? And when I say issue, I mean, how can we, what is something that we've done in the classroom that we would like to address, we would like to make more interactive, because that's our goal, is to make things more interesting, more interactive, for the students and for ourselves. So that's what I'd like us to discuss in these breakout rooms. And so what I would like for you guys to do, we're going to put you into the breakout rooms, and then I would like you to begin, just have one participant just begin by talking about something that they would like to make more interactive, a particular aspect or activity, or something that needs some kind of advice about how, you need some kind of help about how to handle it. And so the others in your breakout room hopefully will have some experiences they can tell you to help with your issue. And then, of course, you can switch to a second, or if you have time, a third person to talk about something that they're interested in too. And again, you guys can talk however you like to get the issue going and to really try to help each other. Okay, and I'm going to be popping into some rooms to listen in on you, and I'll hopefully get a little idea about what you're talking about. So let's go ahead and do that right now. So I'm going to drop out of this share. There we go. And if I could get the administrator to put us into breakout rooms. Again, we'd like to have breakout rooms. It looks like we have about 65 participants or so, 60. So ideally, we'd like to get 4 in a breakout room together. I think 4 is a good number where you can talk, but not too many people, but enough to give you good advice and good help. So if we could get the administrator to go ahead and put you into a breakout room, and please, again, when you're invited to a breakout room, say yes and jump into there.
I think some participants may not join, so I can create about 9 rooms for participants to get in, okay?
All right. Yeah, we'll be in the breakout rooms, hopefully. Once they start out, there we go. Okay. All right, I'll see you guys after. Have a good chat.
I'm getting back to see if we are in the big room already or not.
I think
I have to
Thomas
return to
will
my
close
breakout
the
room.
rooms and you will automatically get back. Okay.
Yes.
Anyway, thank you. Where are you from? Tiền Giang, right? Okay.
Yes, Miss Tiền Giang.
Yes. Tiên, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Tiên from
in this series. Yes.
Tiên from Nguyễn Đình Chiểu School, right? Okay. Yep. I know your name. I know many teachers in Nguyễn Đình Chiểu School.
This opportunity, 12 of us are here.
Yeah, I know Tường Vi and Vân Lộc.
Thúy Vi, Vân Lộc.
Yes, Thúy Vi, yeah, Vân Lộc, I know.
Yes, all of them are here. Yes.
Okay, so all the rooms will close very shortly.
Yeah, hi, hello.
Hello.
Yeah, it looks like you were having a good chat there. That's good. The groups, the breakout rooms were having good chats too. I enjoyed listening and talking to a few. So we'll wait a minute for everyone to come back from the breakout rooms. Yeah, did you guys have a good chat in your rooms? I hope so, yeah. Good. Looks like everybody's going to be coming back now. Yeah, hi everyone. Hold on. We're waiting to make sure everyone gets back. Yeah, I see some comments in the chat over here too. Right. Yeah, okay. Great. Okay, I think we've got everybody back now. Hello, hi again. Welcome back. What I'd like us to do now, just like we did in a few webinars before, the other previous webinars, I have a board. I just put the link in there in the chat for Jamboards. Okay. Just a moment and I'll tell you about those Jamboards. I'm going to share my screen again and then tell you about the Jamboards that you can see at that link, and then I'll show you what to do. Okay, so let me go ahead and share my screen again real quick. Yeah, so again, we talked about our issues, and now I'd like maybe we could put a few of things that we observed there, just whatever pops up into our into our mind. I made a little newspaper thing there as a background, but basically you can just put down anything like problems that you face or what's important to you, trying to make things interactive, or problems, solutions. Here's another thing here on the bottom. This is something that I talked about last time that I think is really useful for us. Is I think collaborating with others from this webinar can really be a great thing. I mean, I would really be trying to do this if I was you. I would be trying to connect with others here because you guys have a lot in common. So I think that we could exchange emails. You could put some links. We can do this on the Tech for Teach platform, or we can do an email mailing list. But I'm thinking of setting this up as a list and putting it into Google Drive for us. But maybe you could try it here if you want. I don't know. But I think we should try to collaborate. So if 2 teachers that teach the same level or the same textbook, or 3, you guys can connect up with each other and then you can share materials. And that's really a great thing to do. Okay, so again, anything we'll have fun with this little Jamboard a little bit in just a moment. I also have 2 other Jamboards. Here are 2 teachers who posted to the Tech for Teach about their problems. And so I have a board set up for each of their problems to see if you can help them. So here's the first board. And again, we want to see what can we do? What can you do in this situation? So you see on the top right, the first teacher said that she has low contact hours with her students. Her students are mixed in terms of motivation. Some are motivated, some are not. And she's given self-study, homework, and projects, but they don't seem to be working. So what can she do? What can you do about this? Okay. The next one, another teacher said that the textbook is too hard for her students. The Vietnamese level book that she has to teach is just too high, I think. It's too hard. And she doesn't have resources. She doesn't have like internet or computer resources. She's got maybe just the textbook or some other things. And I think that because of her location too, she's kind of away from central cities and things. So she doesn't have a lot of support to rely on. So that's her situation, okay? So what I would like us to do on these Jamboards, good, a lot of you've already joined. I've got these 3 boards here. So here's the first one, 1, 2, and 3. And you can go up there and click on these and move them. And again, just like we did before, you can just put a sticky note here and start thinking about your problem. Like, you know, my student, here's one that I heard in one of the groups I was in, the last one I just talked to. My student doesn't like, I guess, writing lessons, but likes to speak. Okay, so that would be kind of an issue or a problem. What can I do? And I think we talked about this. So you could do that and just put a Post-it note on there anywhere, and then somebody else could come up and add whatever you want to put here, ideas or anything like that. So you can put issues and ideas. So go ahead, if you guys are on there, you can start doing that. On the second board, again, this one, you can just put text if you want to. You could type text here. Again, if like low contact hours, mixed student motivation, self-study, doesn't work, projects. Maybe an idea might be that you need to have a free class. Right? So I don't know if you guys have ever tried a free class. There's 2 tactics I do. When I try here, these are 2 things. I'll add another one here with a Post-it note, which is the silence. And again, these 2 are some of the techniques that work surprisingly well when I'm about ready to give up with situations like this. Sometimes when the students are mixed motivations, or they don't really want to pay attention, then sometimes I'll have a free class where I'm actually not going to teach them anything. I say, close your books, close everything, turn everything off. Let's stop. Let's have fun. Let's talk. And sometimes just doing that, letting them know that you realize that things are not going to plan, and you say, it's okay. It's not, in other words, you're not kind of assigning blame, and you're not trying hard to push through something because you tried that already. And so you might just stop and say, look, let's not do our usual thing today. Let's just change it up. And the reason we're doing that is because I want to make the class more fun for us. So again, this doesn't work for every class. You have to gauge it. You have to figure out which classes this will work in. So you just you don't have a lesson, and you let them help, and you get ideas and feedback from them. When classes are noisy and large classes are rowdy, sometimes not teaching, also just being quiet. Just go stand in front of the room and not say anything, and let everybody, and see how long it takes before everybody quiets down. This works with disruptive classes. I'm sure you guys have done this before, but the temptation always, the point of these 2 different things is, when you're trying to solve hard problems, When you're trying to solve hard problems like these here, low contact hours, self-study, projects not working, after you've tried everything that makes sense, you need to try things that are crazy or don't make sense. You need to try what's called a far out solution. I got this from a teacher that I really respect, this comes from a method, far out comparison is really what it's about, a far out comparison. A far out comparison is when you just try, you go, wait a minute, what is it about this situation? I've tried everything in a logical way. Now let me think about the opposite. What if I did the exact opposite of what I'm trying to do? Like, I'm trying to get them to be more motivated. So how can I make them not motivated? What would make them not motivated? What would make the most boring possible? What if, again, whatever they're doing or whatever they're not doing or doing, do the opposite. And again, you can do it just for a few minutes. You can make a big point of it, but do a far out comparison. Find out what the bounds are, because you may not quite get the dynamic of your class. You may not understand something critical that you're just missing because you're so busy in your teacher head that you're not really seeing something that could help you. And so sometimes doing the opposite of what you think is logical or right can sometimes lead to surprising solutions. So that's something that I think about in these kind of hopeless looking situations, is free classes or changing things or far out comparisons, far out ways to kind of think of the opposite, right? In this situation, again, textbooks too hard. Ooh, again, this one, this is another hard one. You guys can probably know how to handle this better than me, because you are in these settings. You are working with these, these restrictions on your teaching from the government. And so I think you have to look for support though first. My first thought when I read this, when I saw this, is just like, find support somehow. Find support, and that support can be anywhere. Maybe if you can talk to your administrators, your principal, your assistant principal, a coordinator of some sort, a counselor, even teachers, other teachers, of course, teachers that are in your school or away. Get on some forums. Also, you might try the parents, the children's parents, depending on their level, their age. You might try to get them, because again, especially if you don't have a lot of resources and you have little support, you need to look everywhere for support, not just the usual places. Look for anyone that can help you. And that support also is, find that student with the most energy in the class. Find the students that, usually there's a couple cool students. There's a couple students, not that you think are cool, but the other students think are cool. They may be the most disruptive in your class. That's your center point. Use them as your center point. You have to figure out how to harness them to help you, to be on your side. You have to give them power, because they have energy, and that's the hardest part. If they have energy, somehow they're disruptive, they're not interested, somehow get them to support you. Find a way, and again, you may have to do things that you don't want to do, that don't seem like a teacher should do at first. Something that doesn't seem academic. Maybe you let that person, if they are playing video games on a phone, maybe you let that be part of the lesson for a little bit. Let that person teach about what their distraction is. Get it out in the open. Don't let them just keep it. Let them tell about what's interesting to them. And again, you may lose time right in that class. You may not get your lesson done, but in the long run, you can find maybe some ways to, again, bridge from what they're interested in, what their energy is in, closer to what the lessons are. And again, you might be able to adapt your materials in their direction, knowing whatever they do. Again, these are just some suggestions. Yeah, you guys are already clicking in here. I'm looking at this board. Yeah, students usually write down what they are going to not speak naturally. Yeah. I teach a mixed class, high-level students. Yeah, I'm just moving that note over so I can make sure you don't cover anybody else up. If you need to, we can make it smaller. I made mine too big. You can make it small. Mixed class, high-level students finish the exercise too fast and make noise. Yeah, there we go. This is a perfect example right here of what I'm talking about. This is something, again, that really I almost always find in every class. You have students that are somehow disturbing or off task, and they need to become your mini managers. Harness them. Do not fight that energy. You want to use that energy like a good martial arts. You want to grab that energy and turn it for your good. So if they're finished the exercise too fast, that means they're smart, probably. It's easy for them. Their level's higher. So you need to give them more duties that are fun, not more. Don't punish them. Don't give them more work. Don't give them another activity, another exercise. That's wrong. Give them something that gives them power and fun, because that's what they deserve. They did the work, they're done. So reward them, give them something fun to do that empowers them. So again, let them become, like, say, you're going to be my teacher. You guys are so good. I really, again, you need to figure out the personality of those particular students. Some of them like to be kind of complimented. Some of them, you're the best student in the class. You're going to help me. Some students don't respond well to that kind. They think it's patronizing. They think they kind of go, oh, you're just going to use me. So again, maybe those students you need to kind of be a little bit more interesting with. You need to kind of think about, okay, not that you're the best student in the class, but you just say, wow, you really finished really well. How did you do that? How did you do it? And you start act like you're a student from them. What can they teach you? Like, how did you do that? Did you do it this way, or did you do it? Oh, you did it that way. Oh, okay. Then you write it down and you go, oh, this, that, the other. Oh, okay. You make notes about what they say. And then you say, hey, class, stop for a minute. I want to tell you what so-and-so did. She really did a good job. And here's what she did. Will this work for you? Have you guys tried this? Again, let them become the teachers, give them the power and make it fun. Some students respond well to that kind of approach. But yeah, use that energy. Don't fight these students that are disturbing, or if they're bored, they're off task. Usually those are the smartest students in the class. And you want to keep them involved. Let them help you. Okay, good. Okay, you guys can continue to add to these boards after our class is done, right? I mean, after our webinar is done today, you guys can continue to add. Doesn't look like we're getting much on the other two boards. Remember, you can switch boards, not just on the first board. You can go to the second board and the third board by clicking up here, right? And again, please be careful. Let's not hit the clear frame button. Let's not hit these buttons up here, especially that one, clear frame, because we don't want to lose what everybody's been saying. I want to be able to look at those, because whatever you put here, again, helps me to think about what content I'm going to use in the next webinar. Okay, so again, you guys continue doing this. And maybe, here's the thing, after people have logged off, maybe only 50 can join. But after we've finished the webinar, then maybe it'll be cleared for you to go later and to be able to join up and add things, right? So again, I'll leave that to you guys. And I look forward to seeing what you guys write on there. Okay, good, we're warmed up now. Okay, now what I want to do for the next, for the rest of the webinar is I want to kind of just show you things that I am, activities and ways to approach and to make the problems that you guys mentioned that some of you had on the website to make them more interactive. So the first one is about choice boards we talked about choice boards as one of the 5 different ways last time, right? We talked about playlists and choice boards, and we talked about, what else do you remember? Do you guys remember all the different methods? Go back and review. You can go watch the video on YouTube, or you can go look for last webinar's materials about the 5. But I decided to use choice boards this time because I thought this example would be good for a number of your problems, how to use a choice board. So here are the areas that I saw first. One of the teachers said that she wanted to make her textbook activities more interactive. English Discovery 7, Unit 8 was her textbook and her unit that she wanted me to focus on. And also another teacher said about Global Success 7, so another textbook to make it more interactive. Yeah. Another teacher said that she wanted to improve listening and speaking skills for shy students. Again, this is something I think we can use choice boards to solve this problem as well. And the next one, how to do end of unit projects and reviews. So how to do that, at the end of all the textbooks, the Global Success and English Discovery textbooks, they have little kind of projects and English, CLIL content, things that are more real. And one teacher put up some very specific ones related to computer hardware. So I think all of these can use choice boards. Okay. Let me show you. Here is something that I created based on a PPT that I had from years ago. I've been using it. I use it in different classes at different times, but this one, I've got it for you, and you have it. I'm going to give it to you, and you can use it in 2 ways. Okay. Here's the first choice board that I created. This one I created for, let me back up here for a second. I created this one for English Discovery 7. Whoops. Come on. There we go. English Discovery 7 book, Unit 8. That was she was the first one to post her materials. So I grabbed them and started working with them first. So she got the reward because she was first. First come, first serve. Here's the board that I created for her. This is a choice board, but this is also a game, as you see. You see there are point scores. Okay. So you can see we have categories, different colored categories. And you can see that you can choose any category. You can decide what categories you want to put. I put YouTube. Can your students access YouTube? Maybe they can do this. Maybe they can do these out of the class. So this is a way for that teacher who said that she has trouble with motivation and whether they're going to do their homework or projects. This addresses, this choice board would help, I think, is a possible solution. So you can use YouTube, art, drama, Unit 8 activities. So this is the book. From in the green column, that is the actual textbook activities. I'll show you. And then in the blue column is the next unit, preview. So you can put a category in your choice board for those students who are, again, they've already finished their activities. They're really good, right? Then they can go ahead and go to the next unit and start working on the next unit. You can also put a column maybe on the left side if you wanted to for review from the last unit for students who had trouble with the materials because their level is lower. They can go back and rework what things that they did before, and they can get points for them. And so here's the points. The 100s are easier. So this is graded. I graded these activities I'm going to show you and gave them a point score depending on how hard they are. So number 1, 100 points, those are pretty easy. All the way down to 500 are pretty involved. And they also require more collaboration as the points get higher. That's something that's very important when you're trying to make your activities not just more interesting, but you want them to be more interactive in the classroom or through student to student work. You want to make things more, you want to motivate or reward collaboration. So as we go down, they become more collaborative as well. Okay. This basic board can also be used as a review board. When one of the teachers was talking about how to review materials at the end of the unit. Well, you can see I put columns up here. I just put headings based on what you could do for any of the government textbooks. You can see I put vocabulary, listening, reading, writing, and English in use. That English in use is the CLIL content, right? It's the project stuff. So again, you could use this as a game at the end of each unit. And again, these point scores can be used in many ways. You can tell, if you look at each column, you can see that we have 1,500 points. Each column adds up to 1,500 points, 1,500 points. If you go vertical in a column, it's 1,500 points. If you go across, it's also 1,500 points, except it starts to become a little bit more, right? So, or a little bit less, depending on how they do it. So the students can choose how they do it. You can say there's a minimum amount of points they have to get. Or you could say if they get a certain amount of points, they get a certain reward. And you can reward better rewards. And those rewards can be anything that you think of. They can be just time for them to relax, or time for them to do something they want to do. Or it can be, again, anything, okay? So let me show you how these boards work. Let me share. I'm going to share both of these boards with you real quick. Okay, you guys can see this, I think. Whoops, am I on the other one? Okay, there we go. Yeah. Okay. Can you see the board? I think you can. Yeah, put in the chat if you guys can't see it. I think I got the chat on now so I can see if there's any problems with seeing this. But again, here's the board, and I've got it all set up, and I'll show you how it works, because this, again, I've already programmed this for you. I've already designed it for you so that you can just get in here and change anything that you want to change. You can customize this yourself. So this is a template for you to use, okay? But this one was based, again, on the, I'll show you right now, Bink. Okay. So this is if you have a classroom that's lucky enough to have computers for different groups, enough for each group could have a computer, like a notebook computer, one of them each group has, or you can have them do it in groups. Or if you have a computer for each student, they can do it themselves, or they can do it at home if you provide this link for them. Or if you have just a teaching computer, you can do it in front of the class, and you can let students pick. You can have them in groups and let each group pick. Again, you can do it individuals. You can, again, it's up to you how you organize it, but here's what happens. The student says, okay, I want to do, for example, YouTube. I want to do a YouTube activity. It's kind of easy for 100. So they just click on this 100, and here's the activity. So for 100 points, this unit was about festivals. And it talked about the Rio Festival, the Brazilian Carnival. So here is an activity where they go to YouTube, they click on this link, and it tells them what to do. They write down sentences. I'm having them doing listening and writing integrated. And this is very easy to get students who don't like writing. So click on this link, and you'll see that this is a very short video. All these are very short videos. And this these students already have the words there for them. So they're just doing dictation, but it's in a more fun way. Because look, hopefully the sound is working right here. This is about the Brazilian carnival. So it has some nice, okay. Oh, we got to see the commercial. Little Korean.
지방과 유당을 분리해 단백질만 담은 분리유청 단백질 셀렉스 코어 프로틴 락토프리 락토프리라 쓰기 편하게 셀렉스.
Can you hear the sound? Okay, wait, let me. Okay, do you see that I chose these for 100 points because it's pretty easy. All they have to do is listen to this video that's only 49 seconds, and they just write what they see. It's already there for them. They just write it down. They're just dictating, but they're also seeing what a carnival really looks like and sounds like, what the parade, they're getting a feeling for it, right? And you could, if the student's a little higher level, you could tell them, you could change that and make it, customized. You could say that they have to, like this one, 12 Samba schools compete for the grand prize. You could ask them something about that. What's Samba? Yeah, Samba is that kind of music we're listening to, right? And they could just, write that down. Samba is a kind of music that we're listening to, like this. Yeah, that's Samba. So again, you can customize this as you need to, but let me downsize that. So you get the idea. So I've got this set up for you that all you have to do when you want to go back to the board is see the home down here on the bottom right. All you have to do is you don't have to click, just run your mouse over it. Well, once I'm back in it, run your mouse over it, it'll go back. So here's the 200 one. Click on it, Songkran Festival in Thailand. That was another one mentioned in the book. So after they do this, you can go down here and go back to the next one. YouTube, 300 points is the Dalat Flower Festival. Then 400 points is the Hui Festival from 2020. So this one, you can also have them do past festivals to do past tense. Or you could have them do future tense for future festivals if you want them to work on their grammar for that. Okay? Here's the art. Here's the art. I'm getting some noise. If someone could turn their microphone off, that would be good. Art for 100, you can see that they need to draw a picture to highlight a Vietnamese traditional festival. This one, they have to create a poster. This one, a little more difficult. This is the second part of the content in unit 8 in the book. It's part of the process, how to do something, in terms of steps, first, second, third, next, after that, then finally. So this is getting them to do that portion of the real content, how to make a festival food. So they would have to write it in steps. Again, you could have them create it, if you wanted to do writing, you have them do it in writing. If you wanted them to do it in speaking, you do it with speaking. It's up to you. You could have them do both. A lot of these activities, I set them up for both, okay? And you can see drama is where I have them acting. First, just giving a simple presentation, and all the way down to the last one, in a group of 3 to 5, they have to create a funny or dramatic scene that takes place before, during, or after a festival. So they could create a scene, a festival, something that's happening at the festival. And again, you can give them target language that they need to use. They're probably going to ask you for help as you walk around. They want to ask you that, how to do that. Funny one here, I think this one always works. Give an over-the-top oral presentation to explain how you eat your favorite food. This works really well no matter what the level of students, but especially with lower level, younger students. They will show how they eat their favorite food, how they eat it, and they do it ridiculous, over the top acting. Like they do too much. They go, and they get to overact and have lots of fun and laugh. Look at this Unit 8 column. Some students might just want to do just the book activities. So 100 points, they do the first in section 8.1, they do those activities. And when they finish them, they get 100 points. Again, you can see I just divided the book up into the sections. 200 points, they do 2 sections, 8.2 and 8.3. Of course, 300 is 3 sections. 400, they do 3 sections, which includes the revision. So that's kind of a little bit more work because the revision is bigger. It's a little bit more comprehensive. So it's a little more difficult. They give them 400 points for doing all that. And then 500, this is a hard one. They have to design their own activities. These are really good for those students who are much better and they're disruptive. Give them something really challenging. Let them be the teacher. Try to have them try to develop materials to teach the less able students in the class, and they can get 500 points for it. Again, it's up to them. And then, of course, Unit 9 preview, they're looking ahead and they can start talking. Just talk about the main points in the next unit. So again, you get the idea on these activities here. So this is all set up for you already. So you can click on the slides and change anything you want to change. You can change anything you want to change. You can take this material out. You can change the point scores. If you don't like the way I did it, you can change the point scores. You can take the pictures out. Down here is all the, of course, the links. I wouldn't mess with those because I have those set up to go back to the home page for you. It's all set up so it's in a game. So I wouldn't mess with these. Okay, unless you know what you're doing in PowerPoint, then you can go change all these links. And again, yeah, you can change all the links here too if you want to. Okay, now let me show you the second one, the general one you can use for review. This is, oh, where are we? Where am I? There. This is the same board, but it's a little different. It's just a blank. There's nothing here for you, but you can see that you could set it up for review. And then for 100 points, you click on that one and it gives you, here's the first question that they need to answer. And you can do this in groups. You know, someone says, I want that category or red. I want red for 100. And then here's the question they have to answer. And then when they give it, then you click on it and the answer is on the next slide. And then again, it's still set up for you to hover over go down to the home when you're done with the question, and it'll go right back to the board. Again, this is just set up for you all over. And when you can change all these questions and answers. Okay. So I made these boards for you and I hope they're useful to you. But I think, again, I think this review is very good to use. If you do it all the time, I actually, in some classes, I use it regularly. I use it after every unit or every other unit. Some classes, you can't do that. Some classes, you don't want to, you need more variety. They don't want to do it again. But if you give rewards, especially in the review, they will be interested. It's fun to play a game. They want to challenge each other and see who can get the answer right. It's fun. So these are two boards that you can use for a choice board that can really help make those more interactive. So again, let me show you again. Let me see, why is this? Just one moment. I need to share the right board back to my Prezi. Got too many windows open. Just a moment. There we go. Okay. So again, these are on Google Classroom. Google Classroom, you can access this in I put a lot of materials for you for this webinar. They're all here for you. And you can see these PPTs are here for you. Where are they? Right? PDF, PDF, PDF. Yeah, here it is. Here's the PowerPoint that I just showed you for review. And the other one that I made for that teacher that you can also use is down here somewhere. I have too many things in the way. Yeah. I'm not seeing it. It's here. Anyway, there it is. Discovery 7, Unit 8 Choice Board. So you guys can easily adapt that. If you're teaching Global Success 7, I noticed that Global Success 7 also has a unit on festivals. So you could easily use the same board, even though it's a different book. I think the books, all the different books share the themes, although the content is slightly different in different ones. Okay, so you can use those. Okay, moving on now. The choice board is very good for doing all those interactive textbook things. Okay, but how about grammar? If you're trying to teach grammar, grammar can be quite dull. So what can you do about grammar? Well, I have two ideas, and one of them is actually not really an idea. I'm just giving you materials. But the first one is a game. It's called Battleship. Have you guys ever heard about Battleship, the Battleship game? No, it's okay. It's based on a really popular game from when I was a young boy that was really fun to play. And I'll show you what it is. But here is, again, a game that you can use to make your grammar lesson more interactive. So here's the board. Here's what the Battleship game looks like. Each student will get one of these, okay? And their board, you can do this, again, you can do what you need to do to change this, but what a student does is they get, whoops, Prezi does this sometimes. Let me zoom in here. There we go, zoom back. Okay, each student will get one of these. If you're gonna do this without a computer, if you don't have computers or anything like that, and actually even if you do have computers, you still do it the same way. Take this Battleship picture and cut it out. Cut this picture out. And if you're gonna reuse it, you should laminate it. You should cover it with a coating so that it doesn't get torn up and you have to reprint it every time. So you want to get these battleships. Each student gets a battleship. And this game, this grammar game, is usually used for 2 students only. One student playing with another student. Okay, so it's one-on-one. Okay, so the students get a little cardboard, a little battleship like this at the right size, print it, and they get a board like this. They get the Battleship game board. Okay, and you can change all of these things. I have the Word file for you. I'll show it to you in a moment, where you can change all of these things. Let me show you that right now. because I can just pop right into it and I can show you it. There. Okay, you can see my Word file. Again, I put this in the folder for you. So you can see that what the students are going to do, let me move the battleship out of the way. The battleship takes up 4 blocks. And the students, of course, can turn this battleship any way they want. They can turn it sideways. So they could take it and put it, again, they're doing this with paper cutout, right? So they get the board and they get a little one like this and they put it on the board wherever they want. They have to put it here. They can't cover one of the things on the side, one of the pictures, but they put the battleship horizontal, or if they want, they can put it diagonal. But diagonal, if they're gonna do diagonal, you have to think about that and you gotta have the ability to stretch your ship. So again, usually I don't tell them, if I only have paper in the classroom, I don't let them do diagonal, but you can do diagonal otherwise, okay? So they can do vertical or horizontal. So they put their battleship wherever they want on the board, okay? So maybe one student puts it here and the other student will put theirs too, in a different way, but they don't show each other. They can't see each other's board. That's very important. That's crucial. They can't see each other's board. This grammar point is about, for example, about using the word can, the verb can, like he can, she can, I can, about the ability to do things, okay? So what I did was went and got a bunch of images from the internet, very easy to cut out, and I put them here for different verbs different actions that go along with can. Okay, so the first one you can see is a fork and a knife eat, sleep, jog or run, jump, talk, throw, sing, play, think. Again, you can change these however you want. You can even put words up here if you want. If the students don't know enough vocabulary, you can just do it. And it's fun if you put pictures, letting them make up their own verbs, because sometimes they can get a verb that's fine, like walk or run or flee if they're really high level. Anyway, on the left side here, you can see you have just different characters, and you can change this depending on the level of the students. I just went and grabbed these and cut these out and just put them on there just for fun. So you can see a cat, a dinosaur, a policeman or a boy, a dog, a monster, a robot, a shark, a teacher or a woman, a man or an astronaut. Again, so what they would do is what the goal is, this game, one student is trying to sink the battleship of the other player, okay? If they sink the battleship, they win the game. So what they do is they make a sentence. They say, okay, the cat, for example, the cat can, if I want to try here on the other student's board, I want to put a big, like you can do this on computer too. They can do it on computers, of course, but you can say this one, I want to do this one. The cat can speak. The cat can talk. Then the other student looks at their board, and if the battleship is there, then they say hit. And that means that this one, the first one, they will draw an X over the top of. They hit it. And then you can see what happens is they go, all right, now all I have to do is find out, is it going horizontal or is it going vertical? So then the next time the student will say, all right, dinosaur, the dinosaur can talk, hit. And that's 2 hits. And then 3 hits that the policeman or the boy can speak, hit. And then the dog can speak. The dog can talk. You sank my battleship, you win. And of course, if they miss, then they say to them, miss. So if you say, for example, if I'm guessing on my board, if it's my board and it's like this, then I put X's wherever the other student guesses. I put these X's, the student puts an X wherever the other student tries. The student tries all of these sentences and they miss until they finally hit. So I keep a record, the student keeps a record of the other student's tries. And meanwhile, I'm trying to get the other player, the other board too. So what I tell students to do is to keep a different colored X, make another X for you. This helps if they have a marker, you know, a crayon or a marker or something in a different color, that they can mark their own on the same board. They can, for example, put a red one for their own guesses. So they can keep track. The black ones are the other player trying to get me, and these red ones are for the other player. So it's lots of fun. And again, you can change this grammar point to make it more complex or keep it simple like this, using helper or modal verbs. You can change these pictures not to be verbs. You can have them be articles or prepositions. You can, again, you can change this board however you like, but it's really fun. Just because they have a target, they want to kill you. They want to kill the other player before they get killed. They want to sink that battleship. So again, they have lots of fun trying to do that. And at the meantime, of course, they're repeating the grammar point over and over and over, and it becomes more natural to them. So they're using it. Pretty fun. Okay. Here's another, when anyone asks me what's the best textbook you've ever seen for grammar, here they are. There's 3 books, 1, 2, and 3. It's called the Grammar Lab. Guess what? These are old books that you cannot buy now. They're done. They're gone. So sad. But why these books were so good is, you see, is that they are actually comic books. The designers of this textbook, and this is a good idea for you, that you can actually make your own. But wait a minute, don't worry. I have a surprise for you. But you could make your own. You could actually have students make their own comic books with grammar and make it silly and fun. And again, it works. It doesn't matter what level they are. Even adults, even university students, a lot of them like webtoons or drawing, and they can make their own. You can just give them directions depending on their level with as much scaffolding as they need. They can have lots of fun doing this, okay? So you can do it yourself. But guess what? Here's the surprise. I have these for you, the PDFs, all 3 books for free. Here they are. Let me show you. I put them on the materials. Where? Here. Here they are, the Grammar Lab 1, the Grammar Lab 2. I found these for free, available on the internet for you. And you can, you don't teach the whole textbook, but look what you can do with it. Let me show you these PDFs. Let me share them with you. These are by far the best idea I've ever seen. And it's so sad that they don't print them anymore. Here we are. Look at the book. So at the beginning of this book, you can see it introduces these wacky characters. Let me move them up. Sorry, there's a little bit of delay here. Okay, let me just stop it there and show you. Okay, I think you can see them now. But Splodge, Ruff, Tumble, Mabel, and her sister, these 2 underneath, Mildred, there, it's working good. What you would do if you want to use these in your class, you would print this page out, or you would show it on your class computer if you have it, and you have a fun discussion about these characters. So let the students know these characters. There's only these main characters. Okay, just these 5. Splodge is the main character, and Rough and Tumble are his roommates. And they have personalities and they have characteristics. You would, again, just tell the students about them. That's all they need. And then whenever you get to, let me pull up real quick, just as an example. Where is it? There, can you see? This is the English Discovery 7 textbook. Okay. So if I zoom down to a grammar point, okay, boop. All right, you see there the grammar is listed at the beginning of the unit, right? This one, it says possessive adjectives, possessives, apostrophe S, have, got, there is, there are, some, and any, can, can't. See, there's the can, can't. You can, again, use Battleship for that if you want to. Can, can't. You could put can't on that board, on the Battleship board too. Question words. Again, you have your grammar listed for you right here. So all you need to do then is to go to the proper grammar lab, and you can look in the contents and look, there's possessives right there. Do you see possessives, splodges, boys, my, your? It has different kinds. And again, there are a lot of grammar points here. In all 3 of these textbooks, every grammar point is here. So what you would do is you would pull them out of the book. You wouldn't teach you if you let them do the book activity if you want, and then immediately print out or use on the classroom computer, or somehow show them or print out for them these activities. And look what it does. Again, this is kind of like a comic book. So it's funny. It doesn't matter what the level of the student is. These are funny. Look at the first picture there. He says, hello, we're articles. My name is this is Anne. And then Splodge says on the right, Splodge says, Anne, that's a girl's name. But you see, he's got it wrong. He says A-N-N, Anne. And then the other character, Anne, says, Anne, stupid, not Anne. Of course, they sound exactly the same, right? So it's kind of, this is just the beginning. It's really just kind of silly. But look, they have just simple little check boxes. How many articles are there in the picture? Again, they can do these activities and they're fun. These activities have very different kinds of things that they have to do. And because, look at this one here, look at B. Look right here at B. Put A before a consonant when you want to talk about one thing. A dog, a rabbit, a table, a pen. Splodge has a rabbit. This is a book. It's a blue pen. This is pretty standard grammar teaching, right? But a lot of this becomes silly in this. Look at this one. Splodge makes mud pies with an egg. Ooh, yuck. And you could have students talk, you can have fun and say, have you ever eaten a mud pie? You know, mud, by the way, is dirt and water, right? So again, when you start, as this textbook continues on, you'll see that they learn a lot about the character of these guys. Splodge is the person who doesn't like, every day Splodge does homework for this long. He likes English. He says a grammar book is, again, Splodge has a character and he has a rabbit that's called Sticky, who they get into a lot of trouble. So Splodge becomes the adult and Sticky becomes the troublemaker. And again, all the other characters come back in too and start causing trouble. So what's fun about this is that the activities are interesting and they are always in the context of these characters and they're wacky. And so that the students, no matter what the level, even me, when I was teaching this the first couple times, I wanted to read the next unit. I wanted to see what trouble they got into. I really was interested, just like a comic book. The students will want to know what trouble Splodge is doing because he doesn't eat normal things. He likes to eat, for example, fizzy ink. Splodge is not a normal character. He likes to eat weird things and he does strange things like eating ink. And his rabbit Sticky does all kinds of weird things you can't think of. So these textbooks here, you can use these PDFs for level 2. Again, there's so many different, they have some resources for you. And they also, of course, have a lot of more of the higher level content as it gets higher. And these are, I'm sorry that the printout is not perfect, but they're still useful, right? You can still have them do the activities. So these are really fun and you can print these or use them as a supplement to whatever your teaching is in your unit. So whatever it is, you can take it out of the book and again, they can have lots of fun. Your students will have lots of fun because of the characters and the story. It's so interesting. Yeah. Okay. So again, these are all available for you to use and to print out as supplements, and they're really helpful and active, especially if you can do other activities with these characters and you can do projects like what would Splodge do? What would Rough and Tumble do? Again, you can do lots of different things depending on what your goals are and how much time you have, whatever you're doing. Okay, let me go back now to continue on. So those textbooks are very helpful. I hope they're useful for you to do grammar. But by the way, there are other grammar lessons on the internet. There are so many. And all you have to do is type in ESL grammar games. And there are so many like this Battleship game. So many things you can find for free. And again, if you share with other teachers who've developed their own games, then you guys can really double, everybody can double what they have. Content they can use anytime they're ready for the next time they teach it again next year. So again, always think about how you're going to reuse materials and make them durable so that they can be used again and again by the same students, if possible, by different students, I should say. Okay? All right. Moving on to the interactive writing activities. This is what one of the teachers teaches essay writing, and especially focused on IELTS Task 2. I think I told you that I am an IELTS examiner, so I actually I do IELTS speaking now, but I used to be a writing and speaking examiner. But in Korea, where I am, that we don't do writing anymore. The Cambridge and IDP and the British Council have removed them to certain locations. So like Australia and England and other countries. So I don't do writing anymore these days, but I did it for about 7 years. So I do know about writing tasks very well. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about that. But first, the first thing is how to make your writing activities more interesting. Of course, I'm going to say the word again, collaborative. When we think of writing, we often don't think of collaborative writing activities where we have students working together, but that can make it so much fun, and especially for different levels. You can do it with pairs or groups, or you can do it individually, some things. Here's an article that tells you about why collaborative writing is so much better. Okay, this was in an Asian context. This is in Thailand. It's very good. It's from last year. And I put this again in the materials for you in the Google Classroom. You can go look at this if you want to, okay? Here's from a website. This is a basic explanation of how you can put together collaborative writing activities. This is a very basic introduction, planning, drafting, revising, how you can go through each step and how you can have the groups or pairs work and do these activities. And following this collaborative style makes your writing activities much more interesting immediately. So this is the very standard way to do it with collaborative writing. Okay, so again, I put this on the, this is a PDF there for you as well, so you can read this later. You can go through and see how it gives you a little bit of options there too. And it even has a link for, again, they're using Google Docs as well, like we are. Okay. But here's some basic fun stuff like the Battleship game for grammar. Here is some activities you can do to make your writing more interesting. Sensory activity writing. You give students an object. You have groups of 3. Each group gets an object, and then each student has to write about that object from one sense, from their sight, smell, taste, touch, or hearing. So what a student does, you can see the directions, is they get a card. Again, on the small cards, they get one of those. Like, okay, you've got sight. And maybe this is an apple. Maybe the object is an apple, and this person has sight, so they have to describe the apple by sight. And they write what it looks like. Another student will get something about maybe hearing. And that can be fun, actually. Students will go, huh? I can't hear an apple. But you make them be creative. That's when they're doing more creative writing. You could say, no, be creative. Use your imagination. What sounds do you think an apple is making? Don't eat me. Or the apple is making noises like, oh, ow, I'm dying. Why did you pull me off the tree? Again, they can make dialogues. Again, you can decide, but what you do, the group then, after they've all 3 made their descriptions, they put them together in one. They work together to combine them, and they just grab a few sentences from each student, and they want to make sure that they cover all the senses that they had, all 3 senses. So they want to make a topic sentence, maybe, if you want to teach that. If you want to teach them about supporting sentences with controlling ideas and conclusion sentences, again, you can do it any way you want. Here's another one with poetry. This one is actually really fun too. You have the students work with a partner, so 2 people are going to work together, and they each try to write a 9-line poem. So it's just 9 lines of a poem. So it's not really a full sentence. They don't have to put full stops, no full stops. If they don't want to, they can put phrases. It's a poem. They have freedom. They don't have to worry about grammar and punctuation so much. Again, what they want to do is they're going to get, one of the 2 students will choose a title, and they will write the title on the top, and then they will, both students will write about that topic and that title. And then they put both of the teacher will print out a piece of paper that fits onto this. You want to print out a sheet for the poem for each student that fits into this, and you want to print a sheet out for them that looks like this. Or you can do it on the board, put one big one on the board and let 2 students come up and work on it. Again, like a choice, they can come up and work on it while another group's doing sensory writing, right? So students can be doing different activities. So 2 of them come up and put their poems on there, and then they work together to try to make a combination. They want to combine them together, and they want to fix each other's problems if they can. So they're doing peer evaluation. Again, there's many ways to do this. Here's another one called snowball writing. This one is lots of fun for active classes, you know, where the students are active and you can surprise them. What you want them to do is to start writing, again, as it says here, one student starts the writing for a timed period. So you give them a topic and you say, okay, you guys, write for 2 minutes or maybe a minute, depending on their level, and they write down, and then the teacher says, stop. And everybody in the class stops. And then she says, okay, ball it up. Take your paper and crumple it into a ball. Make it into a ball. That's right, it's okay. Students go, no, I just wrote it. No, ball it up like it's garbage. And then, okay, everybody ready? Throw it to another student. And so there's paper throwing everywhere in the room. Ah, it's snowing, snowball fight. And then each student picks up one and they open it up and smooth it out. And then the teacher says, okay, let's do it again. 2 minutes. Ready? Read what you got and you want to build on it. You want to continue the story, or you want to continue the description, or you want to continue the process, whatever you're working on, whatever style of writing you're working on, let the second student do the next part. And you can do this in just 2 steps or 3. More than 3 is too disruptive. I wouldn't do more than 3 steps. So 3 students working on it. And then when you get it done, you can let the last student clean it up or make it to, you know, write the whole thing down neatly and get rid of sentences they think don't make sense or they don't like. Or you can give it back to the original person who started it and let them work with it. Again, there's so many possibilities, but they get lots of fun this way. Here's the final one I'll talk about, which is sketch and scribble, where you give them these picture cards. Okay? These picture cards here, you have to make them and have them ready. This is in your library of goodies that you can use. And you will give them this story, a picture, and they have to tell this story. So again, these are prompts, writing prompts, and you can read about how to do this. I see the time is getting a little late, so I need to move on, but you can read about how this is very interactive too, to have students talk to each other and draw. They do drawing with this activity based on what, you know, again, they look at the picture, write about it, and then they give the writing to another student, and the student uses that writing to make a drawing. And then you can compare the drawings to the real picture and see how silly they look because they never match. Here's a game that you can buy that I have called Telestrations. It's called the telephone game, but you can make this yourself. Have some cards with some grammar, vocabulary from your textbook. And then the student has to pick one and hide it, secret, and then they draw the word. They write the word down. Okay, I need to do doggy bag. That's from our chapter. Okay. And then that student, John, his name is John. So they write their name, John, and they write the word, and then they hide that paper. And on the next paper, they have a time. They have, okay, you guys have 20 seconds. You need to draw a doggy bag. So John is going to try to draw a doggy bag. So he sketches it for 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, you decide. And then you can see this goes through a process. John, after he draws his dog and bag, will hand that to another person in the group. And they will see that picture and they will write in words what they think it is. Oh, the first person got it right. Doggy bag. Wow, they got it. So then they hand it to the next student. Or they try to draw it themselves. The second one will do what John did. They see, oh, doggy bag. So I'll draw a doggy bag. But they're not as good at drawing. So they draw this kind of man with this little bag. And so the next person looks at that, they hand it to the next person and they look at it and say, wait, that's a man purse. And then they draw what is man purse. And then the last person gets purse snatcher. Again, or all the way back around. You can see the way it goes, purse snatcher to man purse, right? The whole thing becomes a silly game and they're writing and they're doing, this is a way to work on your vocabulary and writing. You can do this with sentences or processes or images as well. But again, you're basically using a lot of different methods. Okay, here's the last thing. We're running out of time, so I'm going to just point to this. This was the essay writing task for IELTS writing task 2, where there's a prompt, a topic, and the student has to write about it. Pretty standard for IELTS or for anything else. Write about this topic. Do you agree or disagree? To what extent? Yeah. You know, you can go on the internet like I did and find a lot of these kind of topics like this. Here's a whole list of them, right? Well, here is an activity, some activities where you can have interactive, collaborative groups or pairs working together to do these kinds of writing tasks with IELTS. Doing introductions, 2 people working together, talking, planning, making conclusions. How are they going to do it? How are they going to collaboratively write this task? Again, this is a pretty standard thing to do. So again, I put this on the resources for you so you can do it. I also found some research on talking about how to give good feedback and which kind of feedback is good. Whether I personally try to give oral feedback as much as I can. I find oral feedback to be very helpful with students. So whenever you can have a conference with them, especially if you have station rotation method, like we talked about last time, when the student comes to you, you can talk to them personally about their writing. And I find that to be very effective. This talks about different kinds of feedback. Here's another one talking about it using the internet or any kind of technology. So this one is just general if you don't have technology. If you do, then you can use this one. Okay, that's about it. I am very curious now about anything that you guys have written in the chat. I've kind of run through quickly on these things. Yeah, I see some ideas here. 40 students. Let me stop sharing so we can all look at each other again. Yeah, you guys are giving each other ideas here. I like that. Yeah, productive, fun, thought. Yeah, I'm glad you liked it. Thank you. Different needs, different gifts, and different dreams. Yeah. Yeah. Well, again, with 40 students, a lot of you have talked about really large classes. And when you have really large classes, again, it's a matter of starting big and going small in reverse. So this is the way I do it. I think about, I have this group of students and I have to teach them this stuff, and then they go on to another teacher maybe, or they go on to another level. So I think, what do I want them, in the most general sense, what do I want them to be able to do? So that next teacher, whoever gets them next, doesn't think that I, like the student is good somehow or better. So what is that basic goal that on the handoff? What can I give them? And then I work backwards from there. I say, okay, this is what I want them to be able to do in terms of being able to communicate orally or in writing. And then I look at my aims or goals, my specific grammar points, and all the things that I have to accomplish in the textbook. And I start going backwards in the design. I think, okay, I'm got to do these speaking tasks. So then how can I use one of the interactive things that I know, like we've talked about in the last few webinars? How can I use a choice board or a playlist? Or how can I, for this particular group? So this is a large class. I can't do things in a big group. I have to use groups. I have to. If you have a large class with 40, 42, 43 students, you have to break them up. You have to move them around if you can. Not, again, depending on your classroom design, you have to have them working simultaneously. So more than, you have to have at least 6 or 8 students speaking at the same time in different groups. You have to be able to be, again, you want to make yourself free. You don't want to be tied to the front of the room. You want to break it up. You want to free yourself up so that you can walk around and give personal help that's customized to students whenever you can. And so again, you can do that with different designs where you have the students moving around and you're staying there and they're coming to you, or you can go and, again, there's different ways to do it, but with a large class, you got to break them up and you've got to have them working simultaneously to use the time as best as you can. And you've got to free yourself up. Teachers always have to free themselves up from being at the front, being the person who directs everything and does all the jobs. No, you want to give the jobs to the students and free you up so then you can become the kind of helper like you should be. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. That's a good comment there, that moving the students too helps them. You know, just I have students sometimes I say everyone, okay, stop, put your arms in the air. All right, now, what if you were a bird? What kind of bird would you be? Would you flap like this, or would you flap like this really quickly? Or what would, you know, and again, this is not just for little young students. College students are the ones who respond the best to these kind of silliness kind of things, right? Tell silly jokes sometimes, like jokes that are dumb, really, just to lighten it up and to get students to realize that you're negotiating the class. It's not a book being taught. It's an interactive thing being done for everybody in the class. It's an experience, and it doesn't take hard work, more work. You just got to think about it and organize it. And again, you get a library. Make a new thing and keep it. Make a new thing and keep it. Make a new thing and keep it. And then later you have so many things that you can just go to whenever you go, I need one. Oh, I can use that. So again, that you just have to be smart about in organizing yourself. And again, keep it fresh, as a lot of you are talking about there. Keep the students moving, keep yourself moving, make it more fun for everyone.
Okay, thank you, Thomas. It seems that you have a lot of energy after 2 hours of presentation.
I'm a teacher.
Yeah. We still have 2 weeks before the last webinar in the series. Actually, we don't want to put a lot of pressure on participants, but I wonder if you have any kind of discussion assignments on the Forum on Tech4Teach platform before we end the webinar series.
Oh, you're asking me? I can do that, sure.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know how many students are able to access the website, Mr. Lin. That's an issue.
Actually, if you have an assignment that just share with us, and we will send reminders to participants to join, because we created the Tech4Teach platform and we want it to be effective, because this is a part of this webinar series, you know. And participants on December the 21st, the last day of the webinar, we may invite representatives from the U.S. Consulate General in Ho Chi Minh City and our leaders for the closing ceremony of the webinars. We will keep you informed later, you know, about that. So we hope that in the last webinars, you will spend your time joining the webinars on that day. And this is the end of the webinar today. Thank you very much for your active participation. And thank you, Thomas, for a wonderful webinar. Thank you very much, and see you in the last webinars on December the 21st. Bye-bye.
That's right. Bye, everyone. Thank you very much. Your time is valuable. I appreciate you coming. And again, use those resources. Look in there and find them. And I hope they're helpful.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for the very valuable lecture.